A very good afternoon to you. Thank you so much for watching. You're watching NTV at One. My name is Zeynab Ismail. Now, the murder case against city lawyer Asa Nyakundi has been pushed to tomorrow. This is to allow his lawyer and the prosecution time to argue whether the attempts by the DPP to charge the lawyer afresh is valid or not. The orders were issued by High Court Judge James Wakiaga after lawyers representing the lawyer accused prosecution of introducing the fresh charges without withdrawing those of manslaughter filed at the Kiambu Magistrates Court. Our reporter Silas Apollo is back from the court and will now be unlocking some of those arguments presented before court. Silas?
Yes, Zeynab, just as you've said it, Asa Nyakundi was today in court to face fresh charges. Of course, after the Director of Public Prosecution, Nuruddin Haji, had asked the court, of course, to withdraw the charges of manslaughter that had been preferred against him at the Kiambu Magistrate Court. So today he was supposed to be taking fresh charges. You remember yesterday he was arrested by the DCI to write a new statement in regards to the new charges that he's going to face in court. So that proceeding did not take place after his lawyers raised an objection to the direction by the DPP. The lawyers were arguing that, of course, the charges that he's facing of manslaughter are still live at the Kiambu Magistrate Court. The DPP had asked that the Kiambu Magistrates to withdraw those charges, but those charges have not been withdrawn yet because the judge is yet to, of course, argue on that matter and, of course, give a ruling on that matter. So that was a bone of contention today. The other issue is that besides that, he was also supposed to take a mental assessment test today. That mental assessment test was supposed to be done in regards to the murder charges that he was supposed to face. So the court was supposed to rule on that today. But that deliberation did not take place today after the judge said that the matter should be done tomorrow, or that is on Friday at around 10 a.m. in the morning. So one of the issues that they're going to discuss tomorrow at 10 a.m. in the morning is whether the murder charges should continue as had been requested by the DPP, or it should not continue because the lawyers were arguing that first we want the ruling on manslaughter be done by the High Court, by the Magistrate Court, in Kiambu. It's one of the issues that is going to take place tomorrow. I remember the family of Asa Nyakundi had also asked to be enjoined as friends of the court. They wanted to be enjoined as interested party in the case. That is a matter that was ruled yesterday, and so we are waiting for, that was a matter that had been presented yesterday to the court, so we're waiting today, waiting tomorrow to see how the deliberation goes so that we see whether it's going to take the pleas or it's not going to take the charges as had been requested. So here is a bite of what the judge said today.
Address me on the validity of this charge vis-a-vis whatever is pending on in Kiambu, isn't it? Yes. So you address me on that. Then from there, I think we are able to move.
Yeah, so Zeynab, that is the deliberation that took place today in court. It's a matter of public interest to the general public. We'll be keeping tabs just to see what goes on, what is the arguments that are going to be presented tomorrow by both parties, that is the prosecution and lawyers of Asa Nyakundi. They had argued, one of the other arguments they brought today also was the manner in which he was arrested yesterday. He was arrested while he was on his way to see one of his lawyers. They were saying it was an archaic manner in which he was arrested. So those are some of the issues that will be deliberated tomorrow. The judge says he has an appeal task to look into the evidences that have been submitted, and the evidences submitted by both parties before he weighs in and give a way forward. So we'll be keeping tabs just to update you. Back to Zeynab.
So much, Silas, for that, and of course we'll be following up that story for you. Away from that, the government, MasterCard Foundation and private sector players have launched the Kenyan chapter of Young Africa Works, the initiative, which is aimed at transitioning 5 million young Kenyans to dignified work by 2023. Let's listen in to what President Uhuru Kenyatta had to say during that event.
Our youth, as I have said severally, are our nation's greatest resource. Indeed, as I have traveled across the country, I am inspired by the creativity, the boldness, and the resilience of our young people as they use their talents and energies to innovate and to forge a better tomorrow for themselves as well as Kenya as a whole. And even as we acknowledge the strides we are making, we recognize also that there is still a lot more that needs to be done. A significant number of our young people are either unemployed or underemployed, and they are struggling to make ends meet in our fast-paced society and economy. I am also aware that our young people face significant structural, financial, or technical barriers that limit their access to jobs or entrepreneurship. And indeed, it's for this reason that my administration is taking bold action to eliminate the barriers that prevent our young people from reaching their full potential and opening up opportunities for gainful employment. We are making steady progress and delivering monumental positive changes in creating opportunities for all. And in that regard, and to equip our young people with the necessary know-how, we have this year successfully transitioned to secondary school 100% of all pupils who sat their end of primary school examinations. We have, as I stated earlier, rolled out the Affirmative and Preferential Action Program, which we call AGPO, that has set aside 30% of government procurement opportunities for enterprises owned by youth, women, and also persons living with disability. In addition, we have made significant gains in creating an enabling environment for job creation, which gives us the assurance that our labor will indeed bear fruits.
Now, the chairman of the Council of Governors, Wycliffe Oparanya, now alleges a new plot to cripple counties using the National Assembly to deny them access to adequate shareable revenue. Oparanya says the collapse of negotiations between the National Assembly and the Senate was part of a scheme drawn by the National Treasury and given to the National Assembly to execute. NTV's political affairs reporter Kennedy Mureithi with the latest on the tussle over funds allocation to counties in the 2019-2020 financial year.
Efforts to get a solution on the amount of money to go to counties have hit a snag with a meeting slated for Monday next week between the Deputy President, governors and the National Treasury, being one of the last points of hope for counties to get more money. The chairperson of the Council of Governors has come under fire for having led a number of governors to the Deputy President's residence for talks on the issue, yet there was a collective decision by governors not to attend the Intergovernmental Budget and Economic Council meeting.
There was no IBEC meeting yesterday. What was there is that the Deputy President invited me as chair of the Council of Governors, and when he invited me, I decided to go with few governors.
Governors are of the view that the national government is taking them for a ride and is not keen on empowering counties with the requisite funds to handle their functions. One of the issues that has come up so far is concern about corruption in counties.
This is a language that is being used to deny counties money.
Oparanya says he put up a strong case for counties and their quest for more cash, arguing there were fears the ping-pong on what should be sent to devolved units was an indication of a government hell-bent on stifling devolution.
National government, the Treasury is already in bed with the National Assembly to deny us money to the county.
The governors insist they will not take anything below 327 billion shillings, a figure the Senate was pushing for at their mediation meeting with the National Assembly, which stuck at 316 billion shillings.
We thought we could...
Governor Oparanya also says if a referendum is to be held, they would push for an autonomous system that does not require the input of the National Assembly in deciding how much goes to counties. Kennedy Mureithi, NTV.
All right, let's now cross over live to our reporter Kennedy Mureithi, who is in Parliament for more details on the same. Kennedy, a very good afternoon to you.
Well, a very good afternoon to you, Zeynab, there in studio. And interestingly, that story that has just gone on air was the subject of our discussion that we had this morning with Leader of Majority, Aden Duale, who actually laughed off those comments by the chairperson of the Council of Governors, that is Wycliffe Oparanya. And he said the moment that the governor says that they are in bed with the executive and the National Treasury, then what are they doing? Remember, the Constitution under the PFM Act says that the national government on all matters concerning money should come from the National Assembly, then it goes to the Senate. And on this division of revenue bill, which has actually caused quite a stir, they were not able to agree when this matter went to the mediation. But today morning we were able to talk to the Leader of Majority, Aden Duale, and he says that this bill is going to be reintroduced in the National Assembly next week. That is when they will have already probably agreed with the Senate on what the way forward is. When the Committee on Mediation was sitting last week before the budget was read, they were not able to agree, and both of them the Senate stuck at 327 billion shillings and the National Assembly stuck at 316 billion shillings, leading to the collapse of that committee. But what Duale assures us today is that they will be able to agree before this bill is republished next week. And whether they will be able to agree then is also another subject matter that probably is going to be going forward. Remember also, this coming Monday, the Deputy President William Ruto and the Council of Governors will be sitting again at his current residence, where they will be talking on the same matter with regards to how much money should be going to counties. If they do agree, then it will form the basis for the bill that will be reprinted and reintroduced in the National Assembly, because this matter on money has actually become a thorny issue. When yesterday the Governor for Kakamega, who is also the chairperson of the COG, spoke to one of our own, Oko Okusa, he said that at the beginning their proposal was that counties get 344 billion shillings before you add the conditional grants and all these other monies. But then again, the Commission for Revenue Allocation revised that money to come to 335 billion, and this is factoring a 6.9% inflation rate. But then again, that figure was refused, and when they went to mediation, it came to 327 billion from the senator's side, who say that they have factored the basic inflation, which is at 4%. But the National Assembly says there is no money and it has to stick at 316. It is an ongoing conversation that we are yet to see whether the bill that will be reintroduced in the National Assembly next week will have factored in all these other aspects, and they will have already agreed on what the way forward will be. Zeynab.
All right, Kennedy Muredi there from Parliament, and of course will be bringing us more details on that particular issue. But away from that, a section of economists now say Kenya's budget making process needs streamlining in a bid to avert the recurrence of issuance of supplementary budgets to amend expenditure and revenue-raising measures which have already been approved. This comes just 2 days after President Uhuru Kenyatta assented the second supplementary budget for the financial year ending June 30th, 2019, releasing 161 billion shillings for additional expenditure. Now, the Institute of Economic Affairs now says this trend points to hitches in the overall budget-making process and threatens the fiscal consolidation agenda.
Last year, at a similar time, there was a debate or a discussion about the fact that the National Treasury and Parliament together had agreed on what the spending would be, but they had not passed the finance bill, which says how much money should come. So we have this odd place, rather odd process. I don't think the Constitution contemplated it, that we should have the revenue passed after we've agreed on the expenditure. At the best, they should all go together.
The Isiolo International Airport, which cost the taxpayer close to 3 billion shillings, continues to lie idle, with the Kenya Airports Authority staff left with little to nothing to do due to few passengers. The airport, which was expected to open up the northern Kenya region for major development and economic empowerment, has not lived up to its expectations. Flights loaded with miraa and horticultural produce from Meru and Laikipia were expected to operate from the airport. besides local and international passengers landing at the facility, boosting tourism. But 2 years down the line, the airport is idle, only used occasionally by small chartered aircraft. A visit to the airport paints a gloomy picture of a facility where billions of shillings were invested, yet it is not utilized. A couple of workers walk around lazily, whiling away time.
Watu hawajaelewa kwamba airport imekamilika. Watu wanafikiria bado kazi inaendelea. Runway iko sawa, mambo ya control hiyo mnasema sio lazima iwekwe hapa Isiolo. Ndege inaweza kuwa control from Nairobi na iland hapa. Bora tuko na communication baina ya the pilot and Kenya Civil Aviation ambao wana control. So hiyo isiwe shida.
Well, members of the Maasai community are up in arms over the move to construct a dry port in Mai Mahiu area of Naivasha without involving them. They've warned that they already go to court, or they are ready to go to court to stop the multi-billion project, warning that it will displace over 30,000 families who live in the area. This came as a contractor hired by the state started fencing part of the vast land located along the Mai Mahiu Narok Road to the anger of the pastoralists who claim it is their ancestral land. Addressing the press in Suswa town, the community leaders accused the government of failing to involve them in the project and using brokers to compensate selected individuals. According to the residents, the land in question was part of the vast Kedong Ranch, which belonged to the community and was home to thousands of families.
Give us back our land, so that we also love Kenya. If we have projects of national importance, let's talk, let's agree, let us build Kenya together. What's wrong with it? But how do you oppress me, exploit me in building Kenya?
We want the government to negotiate with the community on that issue. We want people to be compensated fully on that matter. Those people does not have place to go, and the dry port has already.
Well, farmers from Kiambu are set to benefit from a World Bank project on value addition for their produce. Through its project, the National Agricultural and Rural Inclusive Growth, the bank will offer training to farmers. The Kiambu CEC member in charge of agriculture, John Kamau, signed the MOU, which the county government says will benefit 20 wards across 5 sub-counties.
And all these are there to support agriculture, which is among the big 4 agendas under the pillar of food security. We are sure that once we perform positively in agriculture, we shall be able to support the other big 4 agendas.
Well, Kenya and Ethiopia are working together to ensure peace and stability in the region. According to the Ethiopian ambassador to Kenya, Meles Alem, the 2 neighboring countries are closely monitoring what is happening in Sudan and hope for a lasting solution. Ambassador Alem was speaking during the launch of a 2-day ceremony to celebrate 50 years of diplomatic relations between Kenya and Ethiopia. The celebrations will be held between the 26th and 27th of this month at the University of Nairobi, which will host cultural exhibitions to showcase the cultural diversity and a panel discussion on how to further improve their relations.
It's time to look forward and make a leapfrog in the relations of our 2 great countries. Time is with us. These generations will really make a difference in the relationship between Ethiopia and Kenya.
And still on stories making headlines in the region, Sudan's protest leaders have called for nighttime demonstrations and marches in the capital Khartoum and elsewhere in the country amid a tense standoff with the ruling military council over who should lead the transition after the removal of the autocrat Omar al-Bashir. The protest leaders said they have begun a revolutionary escalation to pressure the transitional military council to hand over power to civilians and condemn the crackdown on a sit-in camp earlier this month. The protest movement and transitional military council talks collapsed over installing civilian rule. 128 people have been killed since the June 3rd crackdown. Protesters are still facing deadly repression as long as the feared paramilitary RSF and other security units are left on the streets in Khartoum and other cities. The European Union have blamed Sudan's military authorities for the bloody crackdown and demanded a full investigation. Nigeria is facing a resurgence of Boko Haram attacks after 4 attacks in a week left at least 2 security officials dead and tens of weapons missing. At the close of last week, Boko Haram raided a military base in northeastern Nigeria near the border with Niger, with aftermath of the attack showing the extent of the recent attack. Militants in 8 gun trucks launched a pre-dawn attack on the base in Kareto village, 335 kilometers north of the Borno state capital Maiduguri. An army officer said the terrorists attacked the 153 troops battalion in Kareto around 4 a.m. and subdued the soldiers who were forced to withdraw after a hard fight. Boko Haram's decade-long insurgency has killed 27,000 people and displaced about 2 million in Nigeria. Members of the regional West African bloc ECOWAS visited Guinea-Bissau to resolve a political crisis. This comes after Guinea-Bissau's President José Mario Vaz rejected a proposal by Parliament for his rival and former premier to lead the next government. The move extends the political deadlock gripping the tiny West African country since 2015, when Vaz fired Domingos Simões Pereira from his prime minister's post. Vaz had invited the PAIGC party, which controls a majority in parliament, to name a new prime minister as a way to end the crisis, but he rejected the party's repeated proposal of Pereira. Vaz set the date for the next presidential election for November 24th. Sitting between Senegal and Guinea on Africa's west coast, Guinea-Bissau has struggled with volatility for years. It has seen multiple coup attempts since independence from Portugal in 1973. And with that story, I'd like us now to head to the sports section of our bulletin. And we have that Sean Cardovillis will be bringing us all the details of that.
Thank you very much. A very good afternoon to you. Now, the national football team Harambee Stars will take part in their second training session this afternoon in Cairo, and that's ahead of the Africa Cup of Nations, which gets underway on Friday. The team that arrived in Egypt on Tuesday has a clean bill of health after midfielder Ayub Timbe and defender Musa Mohammed recovered from their knocks and muscle strain respectively. Kenya, who will be taking part in the tournament for the first time in 15 years, played 2 friendly matches in Europe, winning 1-0 against Madagascar and drew 1-1 with the Democratic Republic of Congo. The team will open their Group C campaign against Algeria on Sunday. Tanzania will be up next on the 27th of June before Kenya winds up the group stage matches against Senegal on the 1st of July.
We have everybody available for the tournament. It's important during this preparation also. Now the main problem was the accommodation, because when we visited the hotel at this time, Wi-Fi, internet was there, sport channel also, and now we have nothing. And when you have a player with only 1 training session by day, they need sport channel to follow the tournament, English channel, and of course with the new generation, if you don't have Wi-Fi, the days are very long, but I don't like to waste time. I think you know that since 14 months with me. And but anyway, it's outside the field. What it was interesting tonight to see the atmosphere between the team. I think they were enjoyed to be on the field.
Imetupatia motivation because unapata kila mtu ndio mara yake ya kwanza kuparticipate. So tunataka kukua hapa even more often. So ni challenge tumekuwa tuki-look forward for a very long time. Kwa hivyo tukikuja kwa hii tunataka kuperform poa. So tunafikiria hiyo by kuperform poa hapa itatupatia chance ya kukua tunaweza qualify more easier. Because hapa ndio I think tunaweza learn more na hapa ndio tutapata kujua the importance of the tournament.
Egypt and Zimbabwe took to the training pitch on Wednesday, and that's ahead of their Africa Cup of Nations opening match on Friday at the Cairo International Stadium. Hosts Egypt are seeking a record